Today's daf is daf mem zai. We are going to begin the third line, Tanya Kavasei Rava. The Gemara says, Tanya Kavasei Rava was taught a brisa with the opinion of Rava. Iskat shali ba'alein b'dimayin ve'egis. If a person said to a woman, be mekudeshes to me with the fruit of an oak tree, in other words, an acorn, or let's say with a dimayin, with a pomegranate, u'be'egis, or with a nut, or he said to her, Iskat shali ba'elu, be mekudeshes to me with these. So, if combined they're worth a prota, then the halacha is mekudeshes, she's mekudeshes. But if not, any mekudeshes, she's not mekudeshes. If he said to her, be mekudeshes to me with this one, and with this one, if combined they're worth a prota, then mekudeshes, she's mekudeshes. If not, any mekudeshes, she's not mekudeshes. If he said to her, be mekudeshes to me with this one, and she took it and ate it. Bazai, with this one, and she took it and she ate it. And then, so he said to her, be mekudeshes to me with this one, she took it and ate it. With this one, she took it and she ate it. And also with this one, and also with this one. The halacha is, any mekudeshes, she's not mekudeshes, ad she be'achas me'eshav prutas, unless one of them is worth a shava pruta. Okay, so this is the end of the brisa. So now the Gemara proceeds to prove Rava's halacha from the brisa. So now, what are the circumstances in the case when they say, where he said, with the fruit of an oak tree, with a pomegranate, with a nut? Now, what's the case of here? If we say that he said to her either with the fruit of an oak tree, with a pomegranate, or with a nut, so why is the halacha, if combined they're worth a shavar pruta, she's mekudeshes? Didn't he say or, which is mashma, that she's mekudeshes with only one of them, and that one item shouldn't need to be worth a shavar pruta? Elav da'amar lo be'ilu. Rather, we're talking about a case where he said with the fruit of an oak tree, and so now the Gemara says, but the fact that this is said, the Sefer is a shavar is actually ba'ela with these, so it must be that the first part is not talking about ba'elu. So the Gemara says, Kidushin, so that rather it's if this is the Taichazay. Kidushin come mefarish. He's explaining as follows: Iskashli ba'alein b'dimin be'egis. If one says to a woman, "Be mekudeshes to me with the fruit of an oak tree, with a pomegranate, or with a nut," so the Brisa now says, "Ketzer hasa okay, shamalei iskashli be'elu." He said to her, "Be mekudeshes to me with these," and the word says, "Uktani sefer bazin tata v'chalte," and the end of the Brisa is teaching a second possibility. If you said to her that she's mekudeshes with this one, and she took it and ate it, so if one of them is worth a shava pruta, then mekudeshes from lav, in the mekudeshes. Now, ve'ilo reisha, in the first case of the brisa, leikom mefali benechilas the manachas. See, it does not distinguish between a woman who was eating the item or one who was placing them in her possession. In both cases, she's mekudeshes. We can learn from this brisa that kol echad amar lo be'ilu. You can learn from this brisa that any case where he said to her with these, so if they're worth one shava pruta combined, then when she's eating them, she's eating of her own food. In other words, it's not considered halva. You can learn from here that Rava is correct. So the Gemara says, this works well according to Rabbi Ami, who says that the case of the woman eating the dates one by one is referring to the later case of the Mishnah, where he said, "Be mekudeshes to me with this one and with that." So what does and what is the meaning of she's not mekudeshes unless one of them is worth a shava pruta? So the pshat is that sheva is shava pruta, unless the last one is worth a shava pruta. So the rice can be explained unless the last one is worth a shava pruta. Now, Rabbi Shmuel Namath Ravai, but according to Rabbi Shmuel, both say, you both say that the case of the woman eating the dates, only by one is referring to the first case in the Mishnah. How would they explain the statement of the Brisa? The first case in the Mishnah, one said, Be Mukadeshus to me with this, Be Mukadeshus to me with that, and if one of them is worth the Shava Pruta, she's Mukadeshus, so Bechelis is Techilei. And Rav and Shmuel explained that it's necessary for the Tanna to mention the case of a woman who's eating, to teach that despite her immediate benefit, one of the dates must be worth a Shava Pruta to be Mukadeshus. So now when you say, unless one of them is worth one Pruta, it's mashma that one alone must be worth one Pruta. Here the Brisa lists one grouping, Prati Lekachashav, it does not list individuals. The Brisa states a case where he said to be Mukadeshus to me only once, followed by a statement that 3 items should serve as Mukadeshus money. Why then does one need have to be worth one Pruta? So my answer is, and it says how money, according to whom opinion is the halacha of the Brisa, Rebbe he. This is with the Rebbe. The Ammar who says Leishla Kazayis. It says there's no difference whether one says an olive Kazayis or Leishla Kazayis Pratehavi. In other words, it doesn't make a difference between a Kazayis after his time or a Kazayis outside his boundaries, or whether he said that he intends to consume a Kazayis after its time outside his boundaries. Both expressions are considered individual statements, since he's treating each statement separately. In either case, does he intend to combine the two amounts? According to Rebbe, one says with this and with this, each statement is distinct. Although she derives immediate benefit by eating the dates she receives, she's Mukadeshus only if one of them is worth one Pruta on its own. Amar Rav says, Mekadesh ben Milva, a person who is Mekadesh going with alone, ain't Mekudeshus. She's not Mekudeshus. Why? Because Milva Leitza Nitna, alone is given to be spent. From the moment the money is lent, it no longer belongs to the lender. It cannot be Mekudeshus, it cannot be Mekadesh, the woman with it. So the Gemara says, Lemek Ketanai, shall we say, Mekadesh ben Milva in Mekudeshus, Vidishem Mekudeshus. It's Machlekes Tanaim. One person says Mekadesh ben Milva is Mekudeshus, one says not. My labogam, if the Marsaver, one holds in Mekudeshus. Why? Because Milva Leitza Nitna, the purpose of a loan is to be given to spend. Marsava Milva Lav Leitza Nitna, and the one says the loan is not given to be spent. So where I asks, do you think that's Pshat, Ema Seifa? How do you understand the later case? And they agree with regards to the case of a sale that acquires. Although they disagree as to whether one is Mekadesh woman with a loan, as he gives her, they agree that the lender can purchase an item from the Leva in exchange for giving the money he has lent him. Now, if you say that a loan is given to be spent, with what has he acquired? There's no money with which to affect the kinyan. So no proof can be derived from the Brisa, which cannot be understood as stated. So Rav Nachman says, our friend Rav Huna interprets the Brisa as referring to other matters, not referring to a straightforward case of a loan. What are we dealing with over here? Case we said to be Mukadeshus to me with a mana. It's a manachasa dinner, and it was found to be 100 dinners less than. It was a dinner less than one. It was missing like $1. The missing dinner is considered to be a loan that is taken from her. One holds that who said the woman is not Mekudeshus holds that it's embarrassing for her, preventing her from claiming the final dinner from him. And since he has failed to fulfill his statement, she's not Mekudeshus. And one mandamar who says that she's Mekudeshus holds that the matter is not embarrassing for her and is not preventing her from claiming the final dinner. He's therefore considered to have fulfilled the statement that borrowed one dinner from her, but she will repay eventually. But nevertheless, she's Mekudeshus. Where it says, but with regards to Rabbi Lazar said, it's actually been one of Nasal dinner. If a person says, Mekudeshus to me with 100 dinner and gave her dinner, Azim Mekudeshus v'gashtim, so she's Mekudeshus, and he must later finish paying the full sum. Let me kitanoi armas the shmaitze. Let us say that the statement is parallel to the machlekes between Tanoim. So I'm going to say the distinction between the cases. Where he gave her 100 dinars, less than a dinar. So then it's embarrassing for her, preventing her from claiming the final dinner from him, since he's given her almost the entire sum. And if he gave her 100 dinars less 99, the matter is not embarrassing for her, and it's not preventing her from claiming the rest of the dinars. Therefore, all would agree that she is Mekadeshus in the later case. Basically, we're asked a question from Rav from the Brisa. Person says the woman Mekadeshus to me with the deposit that I have in your possession. She went and found the deposit had been stolen, or that had been lost. The value of the pruta remains then Mekadeshus. And if he said to her that he's Kaddish with a loan, obviously, if he said to her that he's being Kaddish with a loan, that he give it to her, she's Mekadeshus, even though the value of one pruta does not remain. Shimon Emer. Shon Emer, Milva, or regards to a loan, how do you Picada? It's like a deposit. So now, now, we disagree only with regards to that one holds that one can be a Kaddish woman with a loan even though the value of the one put does not remain of it. And one Mandamra holds that if the value of one put remains from it, he can be Mekadesh with her. But if the value of one put does not remain of it, it cannot. But everyone agrees that a person can be Mekadesh woman with a loan, she's Mekadesh. So the Sashalan Rabbi says that the person cannot be Mekadesh with the loan. So Rabbi says, how can you understand it that way? It's corrupted, it cannot be said as a proof. And he explains why the Brisa must be why it's a Mashabashta. Why it's a corrupt version. Because Hai Pikadon Echidami. What are the circumstances of the Pikadon discussed in the Brisa? Either Kabbalah Achrayis, if she assumed financial responsibility to repay the owner for the loan if it was stolen or lost, Hainu Milva. So it's the same as a loan, as even if it's entirely lost, she has to repay the value. Either late Kabbalah Achrayis, and if she did not assume financial responsibility, Yachad Tani Seifa. So if she did not assume financial responsibility, and if so, then Tani Seifa of Milvach Pishlan Ishtari and Meneshav Prutim Kadeshes Niflig Vinis to be Tita Medvar Murim Shlaki Bala Christ of Kula Christ of God Ishtari Meneshav Prutim Kadeshes. Now, if she did not assume financial responsibility for it, and if so, rather than teaching in the later clause of the Brisa, but she's Mekadesh with a loan, they had given her she is Mekadesh despite the fact that the value of the pruta of it does not remain, let him distinguish and teach the distinction within the case itself as follows. In what case is the statement said that she's not Mekadeshes? She did not assume financial responsibility upon herself. But if she assumed financial responsibility upon herself, even though the value won't put the dinar remain from her, she's Mekadeshes. Ella to the Tzachi, rather you have to explain as follows. Uvamil with a loan, even if it's a loan, if he was Mekadesh with a loan that he had given her, she's not Mekadesh to her, despite the fact that salvation is time and even though the value of Shabbat is there, and Mekadesh is not Mekadesh. He says that a loan is like a deposit. So with regard to what principle did they disagree? When Rabbi says Ashkechinu the Rabbanim Beirav the Asvi Kamli. Rabbi says I found the Chacham in the study of Rav who were sitting and saying that Milvil B'Rishas Ba'al Machazara Hu Adin L'Unsa Kamifligi. Disagree with regard to the issue of whether a loan the Baal Chayv had not yet begun to spend is in the possession of the owner with regard to the possibility of retraction of the loan by the lender. The same is true. They also disagree with regard to the one who bears responsibility for accidents. The Marsa of Milvil B'Rishas Levi First, Tana holds that a loan stands in the possession of the Leva. Even if it has not been spent, the lender cannot demand the return of the money. And the same is true with regards to the responsibility of accidents. If money is lost, it's considered lost from the possession and he bears responsibility for it. And the Rishon Lazar holds a loan that the Balchiv and I have begun to spend stands in the possession of the owner. And the same would be with accidents. He can therefore be mekadesh a woman with the money he already lent her, provided that she has not yet begun to spend it. Rabbi continues, and I said to them, with regards to accidents, everyone agrees that it stands to the possession of the Baal Chayv and he is responsible for the money. My time, what's the reason? A loan of money is no worse than borrowing an item. Just as in the case of the borrowing an item, where the item is returned to the owners intact, and yet the Baal Chayv is liable for accidents. More so with a loan. Practical difference between them concerns the question of a loan possession of the owner with regards to the possibility of chazara. First Tana is of the opinion that he cannot retract the loan, which Rabbi S Greenwald knows that he can do so. Or ask, well, Adam and Avuna, but the Chede, he says, Hashil, Kaidim Mechavedai. Person who borrows an axe from his friend for a certain period of time. Bika boy, if he chops wood with it, Kunai has acquired it. And it says that the lender cannot demand an immediate return. But if he not chop wood with it, like Kunai, he's not required it. Let's say that the halacha Rahona stated it is parallel to the machlekes between Tanai. According to the explanation of Rabbah, it would be the machlekes between the first time and Rav Shimon Lazar. So our says no. This should be only with regard to a loan. The Hadr Beina, which is not returned intact. Since there's no need for the Baal Chayv to return the same money to the Malva, this means that the money has been transferred to the Baal Chayv's domain. The first Tana holds that the lender may not retract the loan. With regards to borrowing an item, for example, an axe, the Hadr Beina, which is returned intact, everyone agrees that if one chopped with it, yes, and he is required as responsible for it. And if he is not chopped with it, he is not required it. So the Gemara says, let us say that Rav's statement that one cannot be mekadesh a woman with a loan is a machlekes tanaim. The Rashi says, if a person says to a woman, be mekadesh to me, with a note, or he had it alone in the possession of others and he had authorized to collect the money for herself, so the Meir says mekadesh, the Chum say not. So he says, what is the circumstances of this shtar chayv? If you say that it's a shtar chayv of others who owe him money, then this is the same as loan in the possession of others. And why would the Brisa say it twice? Rather, it's referring to a case, a loan that she has taken from him. And they're arguing in regards to can be mekadesh a woman with a loan, whether being moichel the loan by returning the shtar chayv note counts as mekadeshes. Or it says leilim shtar chayv dachidim. Rather, the Brisa is referring to a case a shtar chayv to others. And here they disagree in two cases. In the case of a loan with a shtar chayv, and in the case of a loan ba'al peh. The Gemara explains, with regards to the loan of a shtar chayv, considering what manner do they disagree? So Pluksa that we bonon kumafigi. Disagree concerning the machlekes between the Rebbe and the Chacham. Tayo letter Brisa. Oisis niknes b'misida. Letters, the content of the Rosh Shtar Chayv, are acquired by transferring the document. If the lender hands over a shtar chayv note to a third party, the latter can collect the debt. These are the words of Rabbi. The Chacham say, "Bein bechsav, v'lein masar, eshemas v'lekosav, lekana chich to be imser." Whether one wrote a document of sale for the shtar chayv but did not transfer the shtar chayv itself, whether he transferred the shtar chayv but he did not write a document of sale, the recipient does not acquire the shtar chayv. The recipient only acquires once the other writes a document of sale, transfers the shtar chayv. So he says, Mar Islay did Rebbe, Mar Islay did Rebbe. So the Meir is of the opinion that Allah is according to the Rebbe, and therefore one can be mekadesh woman by giving her shtar chayv even without writing a document of sale. And the Chachamim, the Chair is not of the opinion that Allah is in accordance to the opinion of Rebbe, and she's not mekadesh because she's not received anything. If I say more, I can tell you that the Kulam Molestal did Rebbe. Nobody holds of Rebbe. Papi Kamifti, Papa the Kamifti, the Amar Papa, Aman the Zov Ishtar Lechavri, this one who sells Ishtar Chayiv note to his friend, he has to write, this person who sells Ishtar Chayiv to his friend has to write the following: let it be acquired by you, it and all its liens. Otherwise, the Ishtar Chayiv discussed in the note is not transferred. Mari said that Papa. Mari said that Papa. So one chacham, one is Rameir is one the chachamim is the opinion that Allah is according to with the Papa, and a mayor is not according to is the opinion that Allah is not according with the opinion of Papa. He holds that the chayiv is acquired even if one did not write this phrase, and a man can be mekadosh woman by giving a shtar chayiv note to her. I can tell you another answer. The kulama is still the Papa. Everybody agrees to the Papa. The Shmuel Kamifik. They're arguing in which Shmuel says. Shmuel says, "Amin hashtar chayiv the chavere b'chazur machale." If a person sells a shtar chayiv to another one, and he the seller went and back and forgave the chayiv, it's forgiven. It says the chayiv essentially had a non-transferable obligation to the creditor alone. But I feel Yunish Meichan, even if the creditor's inheritor can forgive the debts. The Ma is the Shmuel. So the Chacham is the opinion, and the Shmuel says the man can be Meichel the debt. The woman will not rely on her ability to collect using the shtar chayiv note she has received from the Mekudeshes. Ma is the Shmuel, and the mayor is not of the opinion of Shmuel. The woman relies on her ability to collect using the shtar chayiv and his Mekudeshes. If you could say the Kolama is the Shmuel, everybody agrees with Shmuel. Here they're arguing with regards to a woman who's become Mekudeshes. And the mayor holds that a woman relies on the shtar chayiv note she receives. Says she says to herself, "Do not live with some my benefit and forgive the chayiv to others." And the Chacham will hold that even a woman who receives the shtar chayiv note for Kidushin does not rely on being able to collect the chayiv, since she is concerned he might forgive it.